What is up, everyone? This is KOTPodcast, episode 13, the big 1-3, the lucky 1-3 with Famousbirds of Crucible Radio. What is up, dude?
Hey, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah? So, you are like...
That's me.
Hey,
everybody.
We saw you at DestinyCon, and...
Yes.
You were like, hey, I'm going to record you. And then I ended up on one of yours, too. So this is like back and forth for us now.
Turn around. There you go. Fair play. Yeah, man. DCC was, it was interesting to because I always take the field recorder with me and kind of see whose game to actually talk on the microphone. But it's a strange thing. Just like all of a sudden there's a microphone in your face and I'm saying, so how are you liking DCC so far? But yeah, it was great time. Great time.
Well, I guess we should have started with the questions we ask everyone every week. So how did you get into gaming, and then how did you get into Destiny?
That question sounds familiar. Let's see. I got into gaming on a Mac LC2, like the first Mac that actually had graphics on it. There was a demo CD of games that came with the computer. This was just like the first level of all these games. And I mastered every single game on that disc. I figured out how to get past the demo stage and into the rest of the game for Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And yeah, I've just always enjoyed it ever since. I never had a console growing up. Always just played at my... So I had this... I just have always loved gaming. I've always loved... I don't know, the act of sort of challenging it. So I lived at a friend's house who had all the Nintendos growing up. I bought a Dreamcast from him like 5 years after it came out and played so much Crazy Taxi. And I was always like 5 years behind everyone else when it came to gaming because I would just get whatever was like cheap. It's like still new to me. And then finally, actually, I had a PS3 I'd bought from a friend, and the missus got me a PS4 for Christmas. It only took me 6 months to pick up Destiny. Yeah, that's been it ever since. Destiny was a game I kind of put off for a long time. Something about it didn't seem, I don't know, seemed kind of strange. But then as soon as I picked it up, I don't know why I'd waited so long. It was just, got its hooks in
It's its own thing, man.
It's its own thing. It's very much its own thing.
It is definitely strange. Was it recommended to you, or like you just picked up Destiny?
You know what it was? I had seen it at the GameStop that I went to all the time. Just like the case there. And like that original Destiny cover art wasn't like, in hindsight, it was cool, but it wasn't super compelling. And it was right. Actually, I got my PS4 for Christmas, and that was the year there was the Lizard Squad DDoS. And so everything was shut down on Christmas. And so I couldn't download my free game. I couldn't download the updates for any of the games. So I just watched Twitch, and I saw somebody playing Destiny. They were playing Crota, which tells you how far along Destiny was when I came into it.
Yeah. And
they were using Thorn, and I just thought, like, this is kind of cool. This isn't what I expected. And, that was, like, the first seed that was planted.
Interesting. It's funny you mentioned always being, like, 5 years behind. I went from, when I was young, from an original PlayStation to a PlayStation 2 to a Wii. Actually, right before we got the Wii, we were given an Xbox because the guy upgraded to a 360, and he was like, here, and he just gave it to us.
There you go.
And then that was it until like a couple years, or like 2 years, year and a half ago, when I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it, and I got myself an Xbox One. So I was actually a lot farther behind than most people, but I totally feel you there.
Yeah.
Destiny was like the second game I got, so I mostly got the Xbox for Destiny, but
yep.
Yeah,
it doesn't really matter when
I'm an Xbox guy, so
fair enough. Yeah, it blows my mind that there are people who are still like picking up Destiny and playing it for the first time today. Like that still happens, but people are doing it.
Speaking of today,
yeah,
have you heard the new soundtrack yet?
No. What is this?
Oh my gosh, it gave me chills.
What is this? New Destiny soundtrack.
Yeah.
Oh man.
If you updated your game and you got it to where it says "can play" or "ready to play,"
yeah. Oh, see.
You can start it up, and the new music will start.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I haven't heard it yet. I got it far enough to see that new splash screen, which is beautiful. Just great.
Oh my gosh, it's been long awaited.
Oh yeah.
So, birds.
Yes.
How did you get to be called Birds?
I don't.
Famous birds at
Famous
that.
bird. Well, okay. Growing up, I always, I had the kind of like screen names that everyone else had. That was, something something cool guy. 256 or something. And I always hated the number at the end and just like having to spell something like that out. Like, no, it's mechanic spelled with two K's. Like, I knew I wanted a new handle.
I was like so fat something on RuneScape at one point. Like it was like,
there you go.
I want to be like so fat or something.
And then you got to like tell, no, it's PH with two T's. Like it looks cool, but if you're trying to like tell someone your email address, it's not going to work. And so I had just seen Donnie Darko, and I was obsessed with that movie. And there's a scene in it where Drew Barrymore, who plays his teacher, I want to say it was Drew Barrymore, she writes cellar door up on the blackboard, and just like, these are two beautiful words. They're evocative. They fit well together. I'm like totally paraphrasing. And I thought like, oh, okay, that's what I want. I want a handle that there's no question on how to spell it. You don't think you misheard it. Like it only could possibly be that thing. And I kind of just sat on that idea for a while, and I don't know, it just sort of came to me. I just have this image of like a big book on a desk, like a really, really, the camera, like really thick, hardbound, dusty book. And on the cover, it says Famous Birds, a complete desk reference. And it just has an entry for every single famous bird throughout history. And I thought that was really funny at the time. And Famous Birds. There's no question about it. And that one stuck. So, and the Gmail address was available. So there's that.
Oh yeah, that is a big thing. That came right in line for us too, and it was like yes.
Yeah. You don't want to be.
So where were we? So how did you get into the Crucible Radio? How did that? Give us the origin story of Crucible Radio.
Well, you have to start at the beginning. I was into Destiny, and it like had its hooks in me. I was spending a lot of time. I'm a Reddit person, so I was spending a lot of time on r/Destiny the game. But was kind of frustrated because I was just starting to get into PvP. It was just a difficult place to have conversations because it's just everybody. It's every topic, every idea, every approach. And so
I've been there. I understand.
Yeah. Like DTG is an amazing place, but it's not the most productive place to have sort of an in-depth kind of practical oriented conversation about PvP stuff. So I had this idea for a subreddit, called it the Playbook. My initial idea was that it would be all about just like having maps, like really good call out maps, and that ended up just being sort of a very small piece of it. But started up the Playbook, made a post on DTG, people started coming. It was pretty small at first. It took us a while to hit, sort of 5,000 subscribers. But early on, this guy, Junior Philly, made a post and was saying like, hey, I'm a chef. I listen to podcasts as I'm working all day. I love Destiny. I want to do a podcast about Destiny. Is anyone interested? And I thought like, I don't. It sounds like a lot of commitment, but I got to at least see what's up. And kind of started chatting with him. We played a little bit of Destiny together. He found another guy there who was very interested in doing the show, who who actually won one of our early montage contests. That was that line cook was Swain, or chef, not line cook. And that other dude was Bones. And we just sort of got to talking outside of Reddit, and kind of figured we'd do a pilot show and figure this thing out. And it kind of went from there. It was just one post in a subreddit, and kind of see who responds to it.
So then, when was the first time you guys actually met then?
The first time we met was when we went to Bungie last year. That was the three of us as a group. Bones and I both live in LA, so... God, what was the first time we met? I had to think about that. We might have met at. Oh, I remember what it was. We went to go see a comedy show. Bones is a very funny comedy man, and we went to go see a show at this little club in LA called Meltdown. That's in the back of this comic book store. That's just like a ridiculous little venue, but good shows. And I remember we were parking, and I saw this guy walk by the car as we were parking. I thought, that's probably Bones. Yeah, and had dinner, and then it was when we went to Bungie last year, which was amazing. That we got to meet Swain and just see like how cool Swain is in person. Like Swain's he's a very cool guy. You met him at DCC. Like,
yeah,
he has a vibe to him. And yeah, basically just spent 48 hours together continuously that first time. And then since then, yeah, we DCC. They were there at my wedding. I've seen Bones a bunch of other times since. And yeah, Swain's wedding this fall. But it's a strange thing, you know, like you meet someone in person that you know so well from the internet. In some ways, I think like you almost kind of get to know people two different ways. You sort of get to know them as they exist online and then in person. And like people have told me like I'm a different person online than I am when you actually meet me. I'm a little bit nicer in person. Yeah. That's yeah, I guess that was the first time.
So why do you guys do what you do?
At this point, momentum, not the money. Yeah. I think about that like before I did this podcast, I'd like always, I mean, you can see there's the piano back there. And there's the guitars over there. I always played music growing up and played in bands. And a lot of the sort of audio stuff that I learned doing that was really helpful when we were starting the show. And yeah, I've sort of never not been in a band before. Ever since the podcast happened, it became clear, like, definitely not enough time to do that. And yeah, I always think like, what if this show kind of wound down or we did something else or something and I could do some other project. But to be honest, it's just like it's become such a part of my week. I mean, we hang out just, you know, in the chat all day with each other anyways. I don't know. We've never recorded a show and just not have it been just a very fun 2 hours to hang out together each week. And Destiny stuff keeps happening. If this game, like I couldn't imagine doing this for something like I don't know, like Borderlands, like a fun game that just never really went anywhere. So yeah, as long as this thing keeps going off, as long as people keep listening to it, and you know, at this point we kind of have it down to a science actually making the show.
Yeah.
I think yeah, we'll keep on going. I don't see anything changing anytime soon.
Yeah, we're still working on the formula here for each week because each week there's a couple variables that change and whatnot.
Oh yeah,
so that's always interesting.
I mean, when we first started the show, we thought we were going to do like, all right, well, we'll do a different gun review each week, and we'll do a different map review each week, and we'd write out these big outlines. And now it's just like 2 hours before we're about to record, and it's like, all right, what are we talking about this week? This, and then just go in and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I give myself like 5 or 6 bullet points because I find like you never know. Like one bullet point you thought would take 2 minutes took like an hour.
Yep.
Like you don't know.
That's something we learned how to do with interviews, especially with the Bungie interviews, because at first we would prepare so much for them, which is good. You know, it's good to have way more questions than you're going to ask. But like I remember the first time we talked to Noosk, it was very just sort of like this one, and it wasn't until we sort of got into the groove that we realized like, okay, the outline is there, so you have something to talk about, but you know, if a tangent presents itself or another question comes up to you in the moment, or you know, like you say, like it just goes off someplace else, just follow it. You know, the conversation will be what it's going to be.
Interesting, you know, what's the harm?
Some of the most interesting stuff we've gotten was never in an outline. Some of the most insightful stuff that we've heard from Bungie or just from good players was not covered in the outline because you don't know going into it how it's going to go. You sort of have to feel it out, you know?
Yeah. Well, I told you about when I had Belle Bunny on, and we were talking about her and her radio people, and we found out that Bife doesn't like pickles. Like, that was so interesting, and so many jokes have been made about that it, and like it was off of a bullet point, but like, you know, you never know. Like we talked like 5-10 minutes just about by for not liking pickles and like
Yeah. Well, there's
stuff
like
that. Yeah.
that human side to people, right? Like it doesn't always come out when you're watching, you're watching your favorite YouTuber's latest YouTube video. More so with streamers, but still like, yeah, we're people, we have lives, and like you turn the camera off or you turn the microphone off, and then you go to your job or whatever and that's a whole, it's very easy to kind of just reduce people down to like the 2 or 3% that you see or you hear of them. But I don't know. People are interesting. There's always weird stuff back there.
This is why I've figured out what this podcast is. That's really when I figured that out was I wanted to be like the David Letterman of podcasts for Destiny, and I told you about that, and it was my niche.
Niche. I think that's it.
Yeah. Which brings up a good point. How do Voop and niche? How did those things come about?
Oh man,
it was a long time ago. I know that, but
yeah, that was an early one. That one happened organically the first time because it turns out we actually didn't know how to say it, and still I know it's niche, but it doesn't sound right anymore.
No.
Yeah, it was just a riff that happened once. I mean, and that's the thing too, is like, before we start recording, we'll be on the Skype call, just like you and I were hanging on the Skype call. You sort of shoot the shit and, talk about other stuff. And so many little things just sort of get born in that, especially if you keep doing it. Like anyone who's played, all of the inside jokes when you play with your clan or whatever. Voop, I don't know where that came from. I'm going to have to guess that one was Bones and Swain playing. They might have been on stream and that one happened. And then it showed up on the show the next week, and I kind of hopped on board there. But I mean that is the sound. The sound of a little bit of ash floating away.
I mean, maybe it was like a Thesan, but the plant seeds like a like.
No, I think you're right. It was definitely because we were all using Thesans then. It was sort of back when fusions came into vogue and Thesan was the hotness at the time. I have to say, because I went through almost every fusion in my vault. Pantaray, that's my favorite sounding one. It sounds very electric. It sounds very mechanical. The sound design on it's just excellent.
Okay. I'm gonna make the sound of one of them, and I want you to guess what it is.
Okay.
Talesta.
Pass. Yeah.
For those of you that don't know what that's from one of their old episodes. Who was with that? That was John, wasn't it? That was the Noosk, yeah.
We went to Bungie. We were in their little playtesting room, which sounds like they describe it on the show. It sounds super glamorous. You go there, and it's just like a little closet that they've shoved 20 Xboxes and a ton
broom
of IKEA
closet, but
furniture
full
into.
of microphones.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just this this dark kind of sweaty little room that they just show down in. And so you just hear people like they're all facing away from each other, but just yelling at each other. And we were playing. Actually, I can talk about it now. We were playing one of the new maps. We were playing I forget what it's called, Last Exit, I think. Which has got
from this expansion.
Yeah. I've been waiting a long time to be able to talk about that.
You've been waiting a long time to be able to say that, yeah.
I think it's probably safe to mention that map exists and we got to play it. That one's got like lots of little sort of tunnels and stairways and sharp turns. And we had spent like the past like month just shitting on Telesto. And John was using it and just doing straight up suppressing fire that is kind of rare in Destiny. And every time you get a kill with it, you just hear the yell from across the room. Whatever inside jokes we have, there's a million more inside jokes happening in that strange little Destiny room. And we're back.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's actually my end officially. So
yeah, congratulations. Must be very exciting for you.
Yeah, very exciting when it's my end.
Must be
oh man,
very proud.
Yeah, no, it came up and it was like, hey, that IP you're using, yeah, that's being used by someone else.
Nope.
Yeah. All right, so you were saying John was using it as suppressing fire.
Yes. And it was working. And every time he'd get a kill with it, you would just hear him yelling, just through the room, just Telesto. Yeah, whatever. Like we were talking about, like inside jokes on podcasts.
Yeah.
Whatever inside jokes we might have on the show, the guys, the 20 guys, the playtesters who hang out in that room playing Destiny day in, day out, every single day, they got tier one inside jokes that we don't know about. We'll never see the light of
So
day,
how do you use
except for when we get to go
for
visit.
suppressing fire?
Um,
Like,
yeah.
how?
You don't use it by yourself. That was the thing, is that he would be always with like two other people. So there were two people who were cleaning up. And you just get to like one of those like those nasty little hallways where it's like you can't push in through here. You think of like sort of asylum, like that little room. You got people on the stairs, people on B, and they're sort of shooting through a hallway. He had a ton of special ammo and was just covering that back wall with little explosions. We were playing sixes too, so somebody's gonna not know that that's going on.
Yeah.
And it worked. I mean, I think it kind of showed something that people don't realize, which is that inside of Bungie, where they have a lot of very good players who play all the time, there's a different meta. Like they just it's an isolated sort of like if you took two groups of humans and you plopped them down on different planets and you see kind of what culture they'd come up with. It's just a totally separate world that doesn't really mingle in a big way with the outside world, except for people playing on their own time.
Yeah.
And so there are guns and techniques and team strategies and stuff that are just a given there that you don't really see in the outside world. And Bungie's not gonna, they're not gonna say, go use this gun. You guys are all ignoring it. They sort of let people figure it out on their own time. And so I think that's just one of them. I think they viewed Telesto very differently because, they built it. They sort of knew what it was for when they were building it, when they started using it. That's different from, us, getting out of an engram, taking it in a rumble and go, oh, this sucks. This gun sucks. Every time I've said a gun sucks, almost every time I've been wrong. So you never know. Casket mag, though. Fuck Casket mag. Never want that perk.
Okay, so what do you look for in your community? Like, I mean, if you go and stream by yourself, that's one thing. What do you look for there? But in the Crucible Radio community, what do you guys look for?
Crucible Radio has been a really interesting experience because I felt like initially I had a very different viewpoint from a lot of people, which is that, like, I don't really get angry at video games. Like, I don't really mind dying. I don't really mind losing. Like, I don't want to. I want to win. But I just don't care. Like, like when you lag out, like it sucks, or you lose like an intense match because of, some last minute lag. Like, that's frustrating. But I just like, I like, it's not going to ruin my day.
Yeah.
It's not really going to change my mind. It's a game, right? It's a game. We play it to have fun. And I really like playing Destiny. If I don't like playing Destiny, I'm not going to play it. Like, I've taken breaks. It happens. And so that was kind of early on, just sort of thinking like, all right, this isn't about the game. It's not about making the game into what I want it to be, or, saying like, Bungie, give me my money back, whatever. It was, it's always just been about like, what can I do? Like, I know whatever else is going on. Here's where I am, and here's where I want to be. How do I get there? And when we started the show, what we really found was that wasn't an unusual thing. There just really wasn't a voice for people who kind of viewed it like that. It was just sort of the overwhelmed by the internet salt machine, which is producing massive amounts of salt by the barrel on a daily basis. And just to kind of see stuff that's grown out of it, like Swain and Fallout did this thing a while back where they said, next time you lose a close match, send a GG to the winner and give them a specific compliment. Yeah, and that was the kind of thing where it was like, oh shit, the world changed on that day, because like getting hate mail is fun. I really enjoy it, but when all of a sudden, like, he just got 100 tweets back with pictures of, like, hey, I GG'd this guy, he GG'd me back, send him a friend request, and now we play together. Like, that's the thing. And like the Crucible Radio Slack, which people love, I'm not a huge part of it. It doesn't really need me there. I like don't have the time to keep up with that tidal wave. It's a community of its
own. Like there's like it's each like chat room is its own community on itself.
Yeah.
I mean, King Koala basically runs his own chat room in there.
Yeah. And why not? Like there's this common bar of don't be a dick and like Crucible Radio, whatever that means. Or maybe they don't like it, you're just looking for people to play with, that's fine. And it's sort of under its own steam there. I think that's what I'm realizing is that when you're a solo player, you only ever see the big picture, and that can be a little depressing. But really what gaming is about is small groups of people who hang out and they get along together. And this show has kind of opened my eyes to just how much of that there is going on that you don't know about. That every little clan, every little group of friends it's its own little world, and that's kind of more important than like all the tweets.
Yeah.
All the tweets. So many tweets every day.
I was gonna say something, I forgot what it was. Dang. Oh, I was gonna say something.
Telesto! Telesto!
It's really fun saying that too, because people that are like around my apartment are gonna be like, "The fuck is Telesto?"
Yeah. It's just there's so many words that are so meaningful to Destiny players that's just like, and I tell like friends and family who want to hear the podcast, I'm like, you could listen like the first 3 minutes of it, but it is not going to make any sense.
But even if you listen to like this, like we talk about a lot of stuff that people like that outside of Destiny won't understand. Even though it's like we're trying to get to know you. Like if you're like if you don't know what Crucible Radio is or what the Crucible is, like what?
Okay, if you're watching this podcast, you don't know about Crucible Radio, you don't know what the Crucible is. Crucible Radio is a podcast about a dumb video game about 3 guys who take it way too seriously. And the Crucible is a place where people go on the internet to fight with their thumbs, thumb war on a very large scale with other people on the internet. And sometimes they know each other and sometimes they don't. And we're hoping in the very near future more and more people will know who they're playing thumb war against, because that's always more fun. So yeah, there you go. Now the show is rated G for everyone.
All right.
You're welcome.
It is time for our first ever lightning round.
Oh boy.
All right.
What do you got?
You ready for this? You sure?
Bring it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Favorite color?
What's happening? Gray.
Dogs or cats?
Cats. Dogs are fine, but cats.
All right. Rain or shine?
Rain. I'm from Seattle, and I'm in LA, and it just shines all the fucking time here.
Really hot or really cold?
Ooh, I'm gonna say cold. I can handle cold.
All right, big city or
hot,
small?
I
small
shut
town?
down. Big I hate people. I hate being around people, but I couldn't imagine.
Sleep in the
living in a
silence
small
or
town.
sleep with like a fan running?
That is a point of contention between me and Mrs. Birds. Personally, I like a fan, but I understand it dries you out, or fan death. Not a thing.
Birthday. Don't have to give it. You can.
February. I'm a Pisces.
Ooh.
Same as a president.
All right. Microwave or toaster?
I've lived without a microwave for a long time. I'm going to say toaster oven. Good question.
All right. Battlefield or Call of Duty?
Nah, I'd never really played either.
Same.
Yeah. Destiny? Is that
Destiny.
an option? Destiny. Yeah.
All right. Cake or cookies?
I'm not really a sweets guy. Sandwich. Meat sandwich.
That is going to be our best new answer for that question.
Okay.
Because I've had like cookie
he...
cake, like chocolate chip cookie cake, and then I've had like cheesecake answer was a common thing. But then sandwich.
That's true.
That's a good one.
I like salt. I like fat. I like carbohydrates. I like layering them together. I like creamy dressings. I like rye bread. Oh, fuck with some cookie. It's like a sandwich.
You don't fuck
Roast
with
beef.
ice cream cookie sandwich?
I mean, if you offered me one and I was in the mood, I wouldn't say no, but it's just not my thing.
All right.
They taste fine. Right. Not my thing.
So, who are some people that you look up to in the community?
I don't.
Because there's always a bigger fish,
a
or someone that you look up to. Even if you're Gathalion, Gathalion looks up to someone. We don't know who, but he looks up to someone.
I mean, there's a lot of people in this community I really respect. I'll put it that way. For me, I never really cared a lot about trying to like keep up or like be the top streamer, the top YouTuber, top podcast, or anything like that. I always just wanted to make a show that I enjoyed listening to, and I was really like, that's the like I have specific tastes. I like what I like, and so that was always it. But there's some people I respect. There's some just like really good players we've had on the show. Like I'll tell you this. Here are the interviews that we've done where it was like we started talking and just like an hour was gone like that. Miss 5,000 Watts was just like from the moment she came on, it was just like just such a fun person to hang out with. And she runs a great stream. Does. She's a great personality. I like Lumi. Lumi's kind of a goofy guy, but he's so ready to get into the nitty gritty and figure it out. I like the guys we have on the show. I love fucking Keen Koala. He's such an angry little prick, and he's so good. He makes such a good show. Like he just knows what good looks like, and he knows so much more about like. When I first saw his show, I was like, oh, shit, you know way more about Destiny than I do. Like, you know every angle, every sight line on every map. Whether or not you're sniping, you're just trying not to get sniped in the foot. That really blew me away. And just, like, his show is doing good stuff. I love Fallout. I love how much care Fallout puts into his videos. I love the Bungie guys. They're a blast. They're all a bunch of weirdos. I don't know. I like most of my interaction with people is through the show. I'll tell you the three I'm looking at right now are Trials Train, Lupo, Ramblin', Ninja with Noel. They complement each other so well. They're all really positive guys. They're all really fucking good at this game. Big things from them. I think. If I could play like that and I wanted to stream, I would want to do a stream like any of them because I think they focus on really the core of like let's play this game right. I don't know. If I haven't listed someone, there's a lot of people.
Oh, there's a ton. I was just wondering.
Those are kind of the ones that come to mind.
So when you guys started streaming, did you guys have anyone that like was like a mentor to you?
Yeah, Texas Prod. So I don't stream, and if I do, it'll just be with like my the PlayStation camera that I use for Dance Central. Like streaming is fucking complicated. Like you think they'd have a better solution for it, but it's just like I was like trying to help Bones with it, and I'm like just like drawing these diagrams out and thinking like, well, if you need this audio channel to go to, and it's like just crazy levels trying to get that all sorted out, especially when you bring a console into the mix, which is just not designed for that. So Texas Prod of Team Inclement was super helpful. Just answering questions. He's used every capture card and had like all but one of them break on him. So just like kind of steering people right, helping people get their PCs built. I would say that's it. I think I do think I might need to start streaming at some point just because I don't want to do it, which means that I would stand to like benefit. Like I'd learn something from it in some way. But yeah, the thought of like building a streaming rig and just having like I spend so much time trying to hide all of the cables on my desk.
See, the
The thought of
cables
just
don't
adding
bother
like
me so
50
much.
more
Everyone's like,
cables.
some people are
Oh,
just anal about it, but it
drives
just
me
doesn't
nuts.
bother me. Like I've literally
Yeah,
got
I just
cords going all over my desk right now, just because like it's literally a desk and there's nothing behind it to like hide them, so they just kind of
sure
sit there.
just layer them up.
Yeah.
That's I'll tell you that's a musician thing. That's like because like the number one thing about playing a show, like playing a concert as a musician, is that if the PA is good, if the sound system is good, the show's good. If the PA is bad, you can't hear yourself, or the audience can't hear you, or like the drummer is drowning out the vocals, the show's bad.
Yeah.
Like it is as simple as that. Um, and so I'm super, super paranoid about stepping on a cable or this one something starts crackling and I've got to unplug and replug everything back in. Or just like you're rocking out and you step on something and now your signal's dead. So yeah, that's an old habit. That one still with me.
In chat, Krizik, what are you talking about with these bonus 2 hours? Something about a bonus 2 hours?
Bonus. Well, I'm not entirely sure what that's in reference to.
Yeah, Krizik, why don't you let us know what you're talking about, and then we can talk about that.
There might be something that I don't know if we're quite ready to talk about, but we'll see. Depends on what Krizik says.
Oh. So.
Well, what was he talking about? Patreon? Nothing coming up. So we're figuring it out. We're trying to figure out how it fits into the show. But as I've said many times before, Crucible Radio has always been a money-losing venture. We're getting to the point where we're starting to break even, which is nice. We've gotten some sponsorships, some ads on the show, but just like we put a ton of time into it every week, and it just doesn't quite add up. So we're looking to put together some additional content that people, separate from the show but sort of related, that people might want to get into it. We're thinking about, we sort of talked about that first, like the half hour that you spend sort of on the Skype warming up. Thought about maybe releasing that, like sort of the pre-show talk, just because, like, I don't know, we're always cracking up right as we hit start the show recording. So talking about doing that. I've for a long time I've wanted to do podcasts on other topics, so we thought about maybe doing kind of an Everything But Destiny podcast.
Well, you can't have that name though; it's already been taken.
That's true. I'm sure we would just call it like Everything But the Crucible Radio.
There you go.
Something like that. I mean, there's just not enough hours in the day. I've wanted to for a long time put out a video series on how to podcast. Because there's just so much shit I figured out the hard way. And just sort of what goes into making a show that starts off sounding good, and then how to get it sounding better, and how to just, how to run the business of it. So I would like to do that. I think there's a lot of cool stuff related. The boys are always putting out montages. We've always, every now and then we'll get gameplay critiques and that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're trying to figure out how to ramp that up and make more Crucible Radio for people who want more than just, an hour and a half every Monday. Yeah. We'll see. Stay tuned. CrucibleRadio.com.
If you ever need a host or a guest for a podcast, hit me up.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, we'll see. We'll see.
I say I'm really good at that. Everything but
it's
Destiny.
Gonna happen. Yeah, I mean, we yeah, we talk about a lot of stuff. We kind of go there, so yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll see what's coming. But yeah, the thing that always surprised me is like Crucible Radio started off as this 1 hour, 90-minute show. What's so cool to see is all this stuff that's coming out of it, all the collaborations that come out of it. The Crucible Radio raps, getting to work with Keen, getting to work with Fallout, getting to work with Daddy Fat Snaps, getting to work with all these people, getting to work with you, getting Destiny Reset podcast. And that's kind of where it, it started off as this thing and it's tumbling into something else. So, yes, expect more collaboration in the future because cool stuff comes out of it.
Well, it's really funny because you talk to some people, and after this, we're going to talk about DestinyCon because this is where this is going to lead into this. But
sure,
you talk to some of these people, and they're just like I was talking with like Triple Rec at DestinyCon, and he's just like, I was just like, dude, you're awesome. Like, we would love to have you on. He's like, dude, yeah, I'm totally interested in stuff, and I'm just like, you for real right now? like,
sure.
It's really how do I say this? One guy put it best. It's really interesting how some people don't get asked to be on stuff, and they're such a big part of this community. Like,
sure.
We're talking with Destin Legary and about having him on, and he's part of the IGM Fireteam chat. And I don't remember if he said they neither of them have, or if they've been on, but I don't think they've ever been on another podcast about Destiny. Like, no one's ever asked them.
Sure.
So that's like, it's interesting to me.
I mean, there's the Destiny community as a whole, and you see that when you go to DCC. But it's just a web. There's like every single collaboration comes from a connection between two people. Like Crucible Radio is a connection between three people that kind of branches out into Engineer Andrew and Green and Gold, our videographer, and all the guests on the show. And it's entirely possible to have two groups of people talking about the exact same thing, but just not have any connections between them. But yeah, I've kind of found that a lot of the times people tend to assume the worst, which is like, well, they haven't asked me because they hate me. That seems reasonable. When the reality is just like, you know, when we were starting the show, we were so nervous about asking people.
Right.
We didn't think anyone would want to be on it. I mean, you mentioned Triple Rec. He was on our episode 7, and that was like, what? Like, Triple Rec is coming on our show, and since then, we've started to realize, like, oh, people, for the most part, like, they like to talk, you know? They like to, the people don't really say no, so, I don't know. I'm really excited to see kind of this, this explosion of sort of Destiny podcasts and see really, you know, we've got sort of the big names, but now you're starting to see the networks form. I think that's only gonna grow over the next next 8 years.
Well, see, and the interesting thing is when we talk to him, it's gonna be like, so like your gaming career and like all this like charity streams, like all this type of stuff with Triple, like it's gonna be so much stuff to talk about since even when you had him on, like.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
like,
it's
like
wild.
even,
yeah.
At one point, he said Destiny was like had gone wrong and stuff like that, and like I want to ask him why and why he came back and like stuff like that. Is just gonna be like a lot of that stuff. You don't normally get to ask someone. I mean, you might ask them on Twitter and maybe they'll talk about it, but like, I mean, we're talking with Fallout next week.
You gotta have the long form of the interview.
About like how do you choose a weapon for that week or what, you know, like it's really interesting stuff sometimes.
You know, the thing that I've found is that there have been times where, especially during year 1, where we thought like content drought, nothing to talk about, like we pulled out our bottom of the barrel topics last week, we're like really fucked this week. And those episodes have been some of the best that we've ever done because the reality is there's always something going on. And for us, a lot of it was like, okay, we're out of content to play. We're out of guns to try. We're out of map strategies. We're out of things to do. Now what do you do? And for me, honestly, like that is really the moment where it starts to get interesting, because every time we get new content, people are going to be sick of it in a couple weeks. Like they kind of space it out. But the interesting part of this game and this community has always been what people do on top of all of that. Like Destiny's just like a substrate that all this stuff grows out of. That's my $100 word right there. So yeah, that's and like you have something like private matches added. You have a new feature like that added, and it just changes the game. It's a big feature. It's a huge thing to have, but it's nothing compared to what people are going to invent using that. Like, you don't need to put a lot of features into it because people are just going to take care of the rest. I have no idea how we got on this topic.
The tangents.
There you go. That's your
example
right
great.
there.
No, keep going.
Yeah. No, I'm.
Well, you guys actually. Well, let's go with that. You guys are going to even have a tournament.
Sure. Oh, we've been wanting to do tournaments for a long time.
Well, you and everybody and his brother and his sister and his younger brother that can hold a controller just barely.
This is true. The thing I'm really excited about is that tournaments have been sweat tournaments since the beginning because that's what we had available to us. I think there's other tournament formats that make sense. You see it in a lot of other games. Something we've talked to people about. I don't necessarily want to have Crucible Radio. I don't think it's realistic to say we're going to become the Crucible tournament stuff. A lot of times it'll be fun just to do like little invite-only things just to say, all right, here's 8 teams. It's a fun thing on the weekend. Let's play, a Supremacy Rumble tournament or something like that.
Rift Mayhem. That would be legit.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Do we know? All right. So I don't know if you have insider info about this, but...
I don't have any insider info.
Do you know if we can double up?
When I announced that I played Last Exit.
Like, can we make Mayhem Rift? Have you seen anything or?
I don't know. I have not seen anything to indicate that. The only insider info that I had was that I got to play Last Exit before everyone else. I don't know. I mean, I think people are going to invent crazy-ass game modes on top of the game modes that we have. Maybe not Rift Mayhem because it's such an objective. But you will see Mayhem Sparrow 6v6
racing. Elimination.
You'll see, 6v6 elimination at night on SkyShock. Like, you're going to see ridiculous game modes that could not exist anywhere else. You could never have a playlist for them. We make predictions on the show. We try and guess the future of it, but who knows? People are going to come up with weird stuff that who knows what we'll be talking about a year from now.
Destiny 2. KOTP stands for Knights of the Phoenix, but KOTPodcast is Knights of the Phoenix.
Yep, Knights of the Podcast. King of the I don't know.
Pantaray. No, that doesn't work. King of the...
Kindly over there, Papa.
I don't know. Some of those are the best little things in there. I don't know. So let's go to DestinyCon. So, what was your favorite part of DestinyCon? Favorite?
I probably can't. Probably sworn to secrecy on my favorite part of it. Well, you get to see a side of people. I had a lot of fun the day of. I wasn't expecting to sign autographs. That was weird. It was fun, and it's just like that is an ego boost. People want your autograph. But I would have to say I enjoyed the parties. That first night we went to go get tacos at this really good taco place. You can see the picture on Twitter. Just sort of like the extended Crucible Radio group, and that was a ton of fun. And then we go back to the hotel, and me and Greenie just run to the gas station, and we get there and we see like the wing place that was starting to get going 6 hours ago is going off. There's just like 40 people standing outside, and it's like, we gotta go see what's going on there. Seeing that and just like having like drunk party conversations with people at the
hitting the dance
after party,
Fallout.
Yeah, I love to dance. I really do.
Watching Swain.
So,
watching girls come over and like ask about where Swain is. That was hilarious.
Yeah. And honestly, I would say that neighborhood that they had the after party at was so different from everywhere else we saw in Tampa, which kind of just seemed like a shithole. But that neighborhood was just like cool and dirty and kind of scary, but just like going off with like some really cool shops. Just that whole experience was very memorable. Like that is just like a mental snapshot I'm gonna hold on to. So I'd have to say that was that night. That was the moment.
Do you want to talk about any smaller moments that you liked at Destiny Con, or do you, if you want?
Yeah, sure. Seeing all the cool posters that people brought to sign. I'm not a poster guy, but like there's some stuff I'd never seen before that was very cool. Meeting people for the first time who I just knew immediately, like, oh, we're gonna be friends. Like meeting Clintus for the first time, like he wasn't even on my radar before, but hanging out with him, just like, okay, I like this guy. As always, finding out who's tall.
What did you think about Tefty?
Blows your mind.
Tefty was.
Tefty, actually, like I was not hugely surprised. He's like a small medium, somewhere around there. But yeah, he's just he's dense. He's compact and dense with the big beard. I think people were not expecting that.
What about Miss 5,000 Watts and her husband? They were a little bit shorter than I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. You only ever really see people from like this far up. Yeah. That was a surprise. I would say another little moment that I liked, and this was not for everybody, but getting to see the backstage area where it's just like you're both at the convention, but you're also kind of away from it a little bit. It's just sort of quieter and darker, and people are having kind of quiet conversations, sort of like taking a breather. And like there's always just, like 4 or 5 extremely hardworking people in the mix as everyone else just sort of stands around. That was really nice. Getting to see the booths, getting to see what people came prepared with. The Crossroads app guys made us a gift basket that like had like hand sanitizer in it and a little Sharpie. Like that was handy. The laser tag, which I didn't get a chance to play, but just like a cool setup. I mean, I have to say overall, like, DCC was, especially for something just in its second year, it was masterfully executed.
Yeah, it was
really fucking well done. Just like, I don't expect the logistics of like a new community convention to be handled perfectly. But it was just smooth sailing. Like no one got behind schedule, and that was amazing. Just a positive experience. Hanging out in the car, too. We did a lot of driving, like going to breakfast. We went to Guitar Center the first day. Just like running little errands with people and just, like you get to know somebody and like it's always you go over like a transition of friendship where you know somebody well, but then you get to just like you have a work friend or an internet friend or someone, and you spend time in person, and it's like catching up, and you're like, oh, your voice, no, I don't like that. That's fun. But then you kind of get to that point where you're just like killing time in the same room with someone, where you're hanging out, but you're not really talking. Like Greenie and I we split a room, and we were just like came back one night, and it was just like Casino Royale was on TV, and we just kind of like sat in our beds and our separate beds. We didn't have to share a bed. He's very handsome. I wouldn't put it against him. Just silently killing time with people that you're growing comfortable with. There's no real replacement for that. So getting to do that was great. Hangover breakfast in largely silence is a magical thing.
You were probably pretty hungover after the after party, from how I saw you.
I danced it out. I danced myself clean. It works.
One thing that surprised me was how tall Swain was, actually. Yeah,
Swain is
like
super
he's
tall.
like
Yeah, you don't expect it.
6'3"?
He's like 6'2", 6'3", something like that. Yeah, no, he's a.
Getting to meet the Planet Destiny guys, the Planet Destiny podcast guys, was pretty cool. Cause I know you watch people do podcasts all the time, like live, and you see their face, but then like when you look at them in person, they don't look quite the same. Like even in the face, like I don't know. It's interesting.
I mean, I feel that way about, like anytime you look at somebody dead on, like this is my good angle. Like as soon as I turn to the side, it's just a different person. Like you get to see how people move through the world and how they interact with people, what they look like when they're just staring off into space. Like, I don't know. It's important to remember that people are humans, right? Like you can hate someone on the internet about a video game, but you don't really hate them. They're like a real person, If you spent time with them, you'd be like, we're both human beings. It's always good to have reminders of that.
I saw sports psychologist Steve there.
Oh,
fun fact.
Yeah. Not what
we both went to the same university. No shit. We're both Miamians.
Oh, you went to school in Miami?
Miami University.
I don't know how you. Tampa was my first Florida experience. I don't know.
No. It's in Ohio. It's in Ohio.
Swampy. Oh, okay.
Miami University, not University of Miami.
Gotcha. I did not know there was a difference, but now I do. I mean, Ohio has got its own climate concerns. To be fair.
Yes, we do.
But they are different.
It'll rain one day and get to 75, 80, and then it'll snow that same afternoon.
Yeah. Make up your mind.
10 minutes, the weather will change. 10 minutes,
get your shit together. That's true.
Yeah, but no, I got to see Lady Desiree, who we had on here, which was awesome. I felt bad for her because, like, until she got up on stage and played, like, I didn't see people go up to her. And that was kind of shocking to me because she was featured by Bungie, and she actually went to Bungie and got to talk with people and stuff, and she streams and stuff like that. But like there were a couple people that like just kind of walked around and people didn't really know who they were, and I was like, how do you not know who that is?
No.
Like,
I do like about the conventions, there's like an understanding that if you see someone that it's totally okay to go up to them and say hi and say, like that's what you're there to do. Because it's like, I'm just reminded of this Mitch Hedberg joke where I'm going to butcher this, but he's like, so I was at a bar, I had just done a comedy show, so nobody was talking to me. And I just thought, like, how many times have, like, you go up on stage and then you come off stage, like, regardless of how it went, like, everyone is sort of, like, weirdly ignoring you when, the reality is we're all there for the same reason, right? Just meet people, hang out, get drunk later, have a good time. So, I mean, and some people are just quiet.
Some people are just really humble in your case.
That's true.
This is referring to a personal conversation that we had at one point, guys, where I was like talking to Birds, and I was like, dude, you're like Crucible Radio, you're like one of the big guys, and he's just like, I'm just a dude. I'm like, no, but I'm just a dude. You are Famousbirds. You are part of Crucible Radio. And he's like, but I'm just a dude.
Okay. Here's the thing. I'm fun. I wouldn't call myself a humble person. I am a complete egocentrist. But the thing people need to understand is it's like before I did Playbook and Crucible Radio, I had a million other projects, websites, and bands, and just various creative things, and none of them hit. Like, I've been in bands that got like little itty bitty followings, and it's not because they weren't good. They were all good. We all worked really hard on them. But the reality is that 90% of fame is just being at the right place at the right time, and you can't predict it. And so, like, Crucible Playbook just as easily could have been a subreddit that never went anywhere. Crucible Radio just as easily could have been a show that petered out after 5 or 6 episodes. I feel weird taking credit for anything that, like, I think we make a good show. I enjoy listening to it, so there's that. But past that, any excess that we've had is as much the stars aligning as anything else. And you just, like, it's weird to be on the side of, like, like kind of cult of personality stuff where people are in awe of you because it's just like, I'll just sit on the toilet every day. Like, don't forget that.
We all
like,
put our pants on the same way.
Sleeping,
except for Jimmy,
pooping.
who puts them on backwards every so often.
Yep. Yeah. That's Jimmy, but even still, he's got to put the pants on. Like, I don't know. I think it's changed my perspective of how I view famous, quote unquote famous people, which is that's like, yeah, people can be a little bit aloof because it can get overwhelming when like every time you check your Twitter, you're just like tagged. You've just got like 100 @ mentions that have nothing to do with you, or you've had a bad experience with someone who was didn't have good boundaries or whatever. But for the most part, like, I think as soon as you realize, like, you can have interaction that's just like, hey, I'm a person, you're a person, that the particulars kind of fall away, and that's really important. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a humble person. I don't really do it publicly, but I don't know. I like what I do. I work really hard at all sorts of stuff, and I'm proud of what I make. So that's about as much as I'll tip my hand. But yes, huge egocentrist. You have no idea.
I had another question, and I can't remember what it was that I just thought of.
Shouldn't have closed that Gmail, man. That Gmail had important shit in it.
No. The Gmail's fine.
Okay.
All right, let's just do this.
Sure.
So who do you want to shout out that makes you a part of who you are? Like, you talk about Green and Gold and obviously Swain and Bones, but who else makes a part of, Crucible Radio, Famousbirds? What? Who helps you make?
I got to mention, anybody who is doing a podcast or is interested in doing a podcast, but if you don't have experience editing audio or you just don't want to deal with that side of it, our engineer Andrew Gomez is just magic. Like, I used to edit all the shows by hand. I did that up until episode. He's probably been with us like 30, 35, something like that. Yeah.
So 30, 35. That's the magic number I'm looking for.
Yeah. But that was the point where I started to burn out on it because I'm spending 5 hours every weekend editing the show. And he came in and it was just like, we actually had a little contest where I gave the first 20 minutes of our mic recordings to anyone who wanted to edit it. And yeah, he showed up, and he's very behind the scenes, but he's a very key part of the show. But I don't know. There's a lot of I listen to a fair number of podcasts. I don't really listen to a ton of Destiny podcasts. It's like enough to try and do one, and I would just be stealing stuff from other shows if I listen to them. I already steal a ton of material for the show from.
I talk about some stuff that people talk about, but yeah, I mean, it's part of the job, like it's part of there's only so much to talk about sometimes.
That's true. I mean, and yeah, like if I read something on the playbook that's just like really well put, I'm gonna try and attribute it, but like I'm definitely talking about it on the show. But there's other podcasts that I listen to that kind of set a standard for me. Two in particular. One is WTF with Mark Maron, which is like, big surprise, one of the biggest podcasts in the world. I like his style. I like that it's conversational, but he exists as a person in the conversation. He's not Terry Gross, who's just sort of like a source of questions. He uses this microphone, the Shure SM7B, which is a fantastic microphone. And he's just like a cranky old Jew, which I'm going to be probably pretty soon here now. I enjoy that. There's also a show that people don't know about. It is like one of my favorite pieces of, I hate the word content, but one of my favorite pieces of content. It's called Super Ego. And I've always wanted to do a show like it, but I'm not funny enough to do it. It's 4 guys who are all like comedians, like in Matt Gorley. You've probably seen Comedy Central. He does Drunk History a lot. That record a sketch comedy show with sort of like absurd premises, like 2 women who work at the perfume counter who are like absolute monsters, or the League of Evil, like doing their roll call and talking about most recent business, or a talking GPS unit that falls in love with the driver and tries to break up his relationship. Like, they take just like these dumb little premises, and they're all like, Paul F. Tompkins is on the show, who's a fucking legend in the comedy world, and check him out. They edit this. They just like freestyle, and they come like they're just riffing and laughing But then they edit it down to this super, super polished, super intense little 40-minute show that was hugely inspiring to me because it was like, this is a show that is all killer. There's no warming up. There's no bad episodes. There's no slow starts. It is just like from the moment it drops, every second of audio has been evaluated and only the good shit got left in. And that was, I realized like I might not be like a professional broadcaster. I still say like all the time. I still say all the time. It drives me crazy. But I can edit. I know how to take out stuff I don't like. So that one was really big for me to kind of follow the standard. And then personally, my podcasting hero is a guy named Tom Sharpling who does a show called The Best Show. Used to be a radio show on a New Jersey station called WFMU that's been around for like 20 years. Nobody knows what any of these are. Go see superego.com and just Google Best Show. And it's 3 hours of him playing music, and it's a call-in show, but he'll just hang up on callers or he'll yell at people. But just the way he talks, like the way he controls the microphone and you know, like I've stolen so much little shit. Like sometimes, like I'll go up a little bit like that, like when I'm trying to make a point. Totally stole that from him. Yeah, it's so rare to see like a 3-hour live show that is just so consistently entertaining. But for me, that's the one. Best Show. Check it out. Those are my big 3 inspirations.
My top 3. Oh man, if I had to pick a top 3, you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Planet Destiny. This is where it gets rough.
Do you listen to non-Destiny podcasts?
Not really. I did for a while. I don't remember. I did listen to this one mystery one.
Ooh.
It was kind of interesting. I don't remember what it was called though. See, during the summer, I worked at a job at a desk, and I was doing meaningless stuff, and I was just, so I was listening to podcasts 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week.
Yep.
And so I went through like all of your guys' podcasts in like 2 weeks.
Wow.
I went through Planet Destiny in like 2 weeks. Like, no, they're like back to back to back to back to back.
Look, just respect for anybody who wants to listen to old Crucible Radio episodes because one, we it took us a while to kind of figure our shit out, but two, just like Destiny is a game that moves quickly, and so like all the stuff that we were talking about 3 months ago is totally out of date. Like none of that advice applies
you're
anymore.
Talking like I think at the beginning you were talking like about how the Vex was like OP and stuff like that, and I'm just just so not fly anymore.
Yeah, like, we've moved on. It's kind of amusing for me to like go back and listen to that stuff. But yeah, and I think that's kind of a strange thing about a podcast because we put a lot of work into it, and there's some bits that some of the intros and outros I'll never forget. But the thing about it is it's radio fundamentally. Like it happens, and then it moves on, and you can't ever really expect people to go back and listen to anything other than the most recent episode. It's not like writing a book where it's always going to be on someone's bookshelf for life, or a movie that you know anyone can go watch. It's part of the current events. It's part of the thing that moves. And so I don't want to say it's like throwaway content, but it is best enjoyed fresh. It goes stale. Yeah. So unless you want to shotgun them all like you did when you're working a hard job. So.
Gosh, I'm thinking Destiny Ghost Stories was probably my third one.
And a good choice there.
Yeah,
that's one that I just have a lot of respect for. Like, it's very different from Crucible Radio, but it's the same idea, which is like we're not an everything nothing show. We're not, we're not just gonna try and like copy Planet Destiny or something. They decided to do something hard and challenging and specific and niche.
Telesto.
Yeah, but like dig out their tiny little corner of this world and do it as best they can. And then
And they
product's
do
pretty
like
cool.
3-hour podcasts too.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, couldn't imagine.
oh man. And I can only imagine the stuff that, if they do, that they cut out. Like,
yeah. I mean, when you get into that kind of like it becomes more about workflow at that point. Like, how do you check off all the things you need to do and do them well, and not just get caught in editing forever. I would say that's good advice for anyone who wants to learn how to edit a podcast, which is just like, get it right as you're doing it. Try not to fuck it up.
Yeah.
It makes editing way easier. So.
yeah. Now, if I didn't put someone in the top 3, like Guardian Radio, I literally have like boom, 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 like 15 Destiny. Like, there's so many Destiny podcasts that are so good nowadays.
It blows my mind that people like. I don't have like I've got time for like
Chat,
2 shows
Planet
a week.
Destiny,
Yeah.
Crucible Radio, Guardian Radio, Destiny Reset, Everything But Destiny, which is by Guardian Radio. You've got Dad Tales podcast, which is relatively new. They're just a couple episodes younger than us. You've got us. I could go on for like 10 more, and there's just so many, and some of them are similar, some of them are not, and it's just so much.
I mean, when people say they listen to Crucible Radio every Monday, I'm just like, damn. Good for you for finding the time, because I don't. I have trouble keeping up with the 1 or 2 that I listen to. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there. There's only so many hours in the day. So.
And now I'm in class instead of work, so I'm like,
yeah,
I can't sit and listen to 8 hours of radio now. It's like,
nope. Yeah, you got to pick and choose, and that's fine.
So, anyone else you want to shout out?
Let's see.
Say hi to mom, stuff like that.
Yeah, I talk to my mom all the time. She's fine. She doesn't need to hear it. Mrs. Birds is in the other room, being very quiet. I love you, honey. Yeah, I don't know. I'm continually amazed at. I'm amazed that people listen to the show. I'm amazed that they like it. Yeah, we couldn't do the show without the large team of people. Even just the people in the Slack who helped make it happen. But I guess I don't know. Is it plugs time? Are we getting ready to plug stuff?
We're getting there, yeah.
Okay.
I have one more question before that, though.
Okay. I'll hold on to the plugs for a sec.
Who in the Destiny community have you not had on that you really, really, really want to have on?
That's a good question.
Top 3.
Okay, that's probably fair. To be honest,
because I can't make you nail it down to one. That's
yeah. Tough. To be honest, the thing that there's a group of people I've always wanted to have on the show, and that is like the intense sweat players. Just the trifecta of Gabe, War Bulletproof. There's so many people. We had Gabe on recently, and you could tell he wasn't super comfortable. It was definitely outside of his comfort zone to, just come on a show and just talk about Destiny. He plays Destiny. I want to try and find ways to bring people like that on the show that for people who don't really see themselves as professional speakers, they're professional gamers. Find a format that works for them and bring them on. There's always Bungie people we want to have on the show. Having Deej and Derek Carroll on was amazing. But I want to keep going. I want to talk to Lars. I want to have Greg and Grant on again. The thing that kills me is there's so many people at Bungie whose names we don't know who are as important to making this game than the couple public faces that we've got. What's his name? Leaf Garrett, I think it is. We met him at Bungie. I don't know if he's been on a show yet, but he was just you just talk to him. It's God, you understand the actual specific mentality of first-person shooters better than everyone I've ever met, and you understand Destiny in particular. I'd love to have him on to crack the code. And then there's a lot of people, just popular streamers who it's not really lined up with yet. I don't know. We've done 63 episodes. That's probably 63 people, and I feel like we're just scratching the surface. There's so many. There's a lot of space in this community for a lot of cool people, and I would like to find ways to bring other podcasters on to talk about, not to talk about podcasting, because we do want to talk about Crucible, we do want to talk about PvP, but sort of have that conversation in a way with someone who's maybe not the best player, but likes to think and talk and sort of have a conversation about it. So
well, I'm always available if you need someone.
I know. We'll see. We'll see. Just wait. We'll see. Destiny World's a big world, man. There's a long list. So, and this actually segues into plugs nicely. People should stay tuned because we got some cool shit coming up. Listen to
do share.
Listen to this week's episode, the one that's coming out on Monday. It'll be this Monday, the 12th. Listen to the first 10 minutes of this one.
All right, so I'll listen to the first 10 minutes, and that's it. Got it.
Well, you decide after 10 minutes whether or not you want to keep going.
But I thought you said it was the first minute that you always listen to.
Yeah, well, that's if we do a bullshit intro or not. We've got Swain just dropped his montage. We've got some more stuff like that coming on the way.
You mean a Swaintage?
His Swaintage. Yep, Mr. Solar Flare himself. I don't know. Just stay tuned. Rise of Iron and private matches has just been like a B12 shot for us, just getting hyped, wanting to make stuff.
Destiny Con was that for us.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Like, you realize whatever we're doing, we should do even more. CrucibleRadio.com. And, check them out. Check them out on Twitch, twitch.tv/SwainStatch, twitch.tv/Drybones81. Follow us all on Twitter. I come and go with Twitter. Sometimes I'm into it. Sometimes I got to take a break. But, it's... God, I've never done plugs before. I guess
Well, hold on one second. We've got a question in chat.
Oh, yeah. Let's take
Fallen
some
Shadow 000 asked,
what up, Fallen Shadow?
Podcast. I was wondering if I could pick Crucible Radio's brain about the Crucible at some point. How would I go about doing that?
The best way to do it is to follow @Crucible Radio on Twitter. I would say once a month or so, we'll take questions from the audience. And if you ask a really good question, it's definitely going to get read on air, even if it's just a joke question. We don't work for Bungie. We have no control over the game. We don't know what's coming up. Like, there's a lot of questions that we are not capable of answering. But also, I would say, especially if you have a specific question maybe you think wouldn't work on the show, but you're just curious about, send us an email. We get emails all the time, just little emails from people saying, I'll talk about this on the show tonight, from a Russian man who taught me how to say Kvostov. He actually recorded a little audio clip from it, and had just a little question about trials. CrucibleRadio@gmail.com. It might take us a while to get back. We get a lot of email. But yeah, that's definitely a good way to get started if you want.
Another one would definitely be your Slack, though.
Oh. Well, you can't really find me in the Slack. I'm very
No, but it wouldn't hurt to ask a question there. Do you want to plug that real quick too? How do they get into the Crucible Radio Slack?
If you go to crucibleradio.com, there's a link on the side that says join the Slack. Click that. Basically, we it's free. We're pretty open, but we're just if you have a positive mentality about this game, just kind of like it for what it is, and you want to get better at it, or just hang out with people and talk about other stuff that is along those lines. I want to say it's crucibleradio.com/get-involved, and you can find out how to join the Slack there. Yeah, there's a lot of people who can answer your questions there, so check it out.
It's also a great place to ask these guys about how to podcast too. But
up to a point. We may stop responding after a while.
Yeah.
That was a. Yeah, you kind of inspired me there. I really want to make that video series. I want to show people how to get into Ableton and how to edit audio so it doesn't sound like it's been edited. Because, and that's the thing people don't realize is that when I started off, I was editing by myself 3 microphone tracks, 90 minutes of talking every single week. And you don't really fully understand how people talk, like physically. When they pause, when they take breaths in, when they do stuff that's super annoying to edit, like they pause and then they go to end their sentence. But then they immediately start another sentence right after, so you can't edit either of those sentences apart. Or when people, I just made a little noise with my mouth, just went like that. Like, all of that stuff is laid bare. It is such an intimate thing to edit someone else talking because you just learn so much about how they communicate with the world. And I want to make videos about that. Like, I want to sort of show people how you get into that and how you start doing it, because it's not tough to get good results. And it's also easier than answering individual questions one by one from people. Though I'm usually happy to do it. So, God, I think I got a 5 o'clock shadow as we were talking. Just happened so quickly.
Now that you mention it, I think you did.
Yeah, I just came in. I must have just hit puberty.
A Fallen Shadow asks again, I want to have an in-depth conversation or in-depth discussion. Crucible and FPS balance in general has always been something I pondered. I've always been toying with it for some time.
There's no question mark in there.
Yeah, no.
I mean, the when it comes to the topic of balance, I would encourage everyone to go back and listen to our episodes with John Wisniewski, with Sage Merrill, with Grant and Greg.
Which one?
Because I listen to all of them.
They're all pretty good.
The impression that I had more than anything else walking away from that is like, holy shit, these guys are really smart, and they know so much. They know, like, we talk about this all the time. It's called Dunning-Kruger effect, and this is not directed at you, Fallen Shadow. This is just in general. This happens to everybody. Dunning-Kruger basically says, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know, and conversely, the less you know, the more you think you know. And I used to think I understood game balance. And what I realized is I don't know the first fucking thing about game balance. The more I realize, and that is something that the public doesn't see a lot, because this is something John's talked about. Is it's like you go into the sandbox and you tweak one little thing. You tweak like sniper ready time, one little variable like that, and you figure like, well, my sniper feels kind of slow. I'm having trouble like bodying and switching to my primary, which people apparently are calling blinting now. Which is
I heard that a while back, and I was like, the hell's blinting?
I mean, I guess we got to have a name for it, but yeah.
Honestly, I thought he said blunting at first, and I was like, I mean, it
never on
was
a school night.
It was I think it was Lucky and Butt Wipe, and so it kind of made sense. Then I was like, he didn't say blunting.
Yeah.
He said blint.
Yeah. No, that's a word now. That's a word that got invented. But the thing is you change one little thing like that and you think, okay, this is the effect that it's going to have. But it turns out it throws some completely unrelated part of the game out of whack. Like, all of a sudden, Sunbreaker is now less effective as a super. Like, the fuck? But it turns out that tiny little bit of ready time was all it took for people to be able to better shut down that super. Or you add a little bit more range to a pulse rifle, and all of a sudden this entire class of auto rifles no longer usable. It'll always get beat by that pulse rifle, or whatever.
My favorite is when he told people that he did something and he never actually touched it, and they're like, it feels so much better and stuff. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, and it's like, game balance is this insanely connected web, and And like you say, there's so many psychological factors that play into it. And what I've realized is that, like, and this is the thing, like, I don't talk about this a lot, but this really frustrates me about people who give suggestions on the internet for how they'd fix the game, is that, like, okay, yeah, sure, that makes sense on paper, but you cannot figure out anything theoretically in this game. You can't do it because until you play test it over and over and over and over again, you don't know if it actually works. And the ideas that make the best sense don't always play out in practice. Like, people talk about ghost bullets right now. Like, oh, ghost bullet. Like, so what happens is if you're out of range with your hand cannon, even on your initial shot, it may not hit, even if you're perfectly lined up. And that's because there's an accuracy cone that extends from your gun. John has talked about this. Even on that initial shot, that once you get outside of the range, you're starting to see damage drop off. Your bullets don't land, even the very first one. And that is a thing that, like, I find frustrating. I wish it wasn't that way. But then, and so you can say, like, well, we need to do something to fix this. What you realize is it's like you have to play the whole thing out. Like, okay, how do you fix it? You say, okay, well, now they're going to be perfectly accurate, but we're just going to crank up damage drop-off. So, like, hand cannons don't totally dominate. Well, think about that. Like, you would have to, like, that would mean that now I can map someone with my hand cannon. I can land a headshot perfectly lined up across Skyshock, and I'm going to crit them for 0. Like, what's worse, having, like, accuracy fall off, or, like, just seeing, like, yellow 0, yellow 0, yellow 0,
Yeah.
have that happen. And so, like, there's a lot of stuff that is in the game that makes it more difficult, but it might be the best option out of a whole lot of shitty options, or it might be compared to some other option worse, but compared to game balance as a whole, by far the best option because it ruins something else. And, like, hand cannon balance is a good one because hand cannons are already really good. And that is the kind of thing that you can't figure out on paper. You need a full-time team of people who are really good doing their best to try and abuse the hell out of it. You have to figure it out just statistically. You have to try it and see what works and what doesn't. And so I'm always happy to hear people's ideas about balance, but I expect everyone who has an idea for balance to understand that it all comes with a grain of salt. That the best idea, I can say, that actually sounds really cool. I would love to have that be in the game, but I have no knowledge if it would actually work. And maybe that little bit of sniper ready time, maybe they had to ruin Icebreaker in order for Stormcaller to make sense or something. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, see, one of the things that's interesting is, like, I'm going to bring this into a raid perspective. We broke Crota, like the Crota raid, so easy. And Bungie was like, we had no idea that this was even possible. Like, some of the things that, when you add, how many, like, 24, 30 million people, 40 million people, compared to, like, maybe 4,000 people at Bungie tops in total? Like, so maybe, like, 100 playtesters? The amount of, like, thought process that is so exponentially higher, you can just figure out different things. Like, no one at Bungie, probably for another 2 years past now, would have figured out, oh, you can get up on top of that pillar for the bridge. Like, oh, hey, you don't actually have to make the bridge. You can just swing across. And there's little ledges on both sides that you can just get on, you know? Like...
Yeah. I think they've gotten better at that.
Yeah.
I think they've gotten burnt by stuff like that. So there's, like, categories of errors, like being able to get out of maps or, ways people use to sort of, like, cover long distances in the air. But I think at the same time, they're also finding ways to, like, I don't want to say leave that stuff in, but to build situations that reward people for figuring out game-breaking stuff. It's like, I'm sure we're going to find some stuff in this upcoming raid that's going to, like, it's going to turn out, instead of having to have a perfect strategy, like, and here's the script, and, like, I remember Lasan Crota, like, okay, now we do the heavy ammo glitch so we can have rockets to shoot. Like, that was the only way to do it. I'm excited to see them say, like, okay, it turns out we figured out 5 different ways to beat this, and if you guys come up with 13, that's fine, because we sort of designed it so there's no one right way to do it. So yeah, I think they learned some hard lessons with Crota. But yeah, we'll see. I find that stuff interesting, and like I can't imagine how hard it must be to be at like Bungie, because like to just like push the button that says like, okay, it's final, we're releasing it, because you know you're releasing some stuff that's gonna come back to haunt you, and you just have to like hope you get lucky and have it be some minor stuff.
I don't remember who it was that said it, but they were like, you may fix 10 problems, but you just created 5, 10, 15 more. I think it was Deej or whatever, but
someone who works in software development, clearly, because ain't that the truth.
So another thing though, like that ties right into this, is the weapon tuning today. I was talking with some people in my clan, and he was like, so did they do anything to the high rate of fire pulse rifles? And we're like, no. And he's like, awesome, so it's still OP. And I'm like, actually, it just got better because of what they did to the flinching. Did you read about that?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, I have, like, we don't do this on the show too often, but I would encourage anyone who thinks something is OP to just, like, watch some T1 sweats, because Grasp of Malak is a great gun for pubs. You don't see anybody running Grasp of Malak at a very high level of play. Same thing with Universal Remote. Yeah, like, Universal Remote is incredible for Inferno Rumble, and it is a fantastic all-around shotgun, one of the max-range shotguns, no doubt. But at the same time, it is not required to use it, so it's not OP in that regard. And that when people are really doing everything in their power to win against the best competition, you see they don't use it. If someone wanted to say like Eos Luna was OP, that I could understand. But yeah, that's always the measure for me, is like, what are the T1s doing? Because they know about it. You better believe they've all got their own universal remotes. But yeah. Anyways, getting back, I did see the flinch one. I'm interested to see how that plays out, because in some ways, looking at looking at some of the changes to snipers too, in some ways I think this is more so than ever a don't peek twice kind of meta. Like when snipers are strong, you learn to not peek again, because it doesn't matter if you land a couple headshots on them, they're going to get you. So I think in that regard, yeah, I think maybe it'll be a little easier to challenge a sniper head-on, although we know with flinch, flinch is strongest when you hit someone at a 90-degree angle. Like, head-on is the least amount of flinch you could give them out of total amounts of flinch. Yeah. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. I think it will be good in a way that it does make it harder to, I hate the term camp, but to like slow play and setup, where you just have someone like pegged, like a decent sniper pegged on a door with a sniper rifle, and you just can't push them. I think it gives some more options to break up setups like that, which I think is interesting. I'm not a sniper personally. Like, I snipe, but it's not my main. So I'm not super sad to see it go. Yeah. But I mean, like, who fucking knows? Flinch is a weird thing. Like, we may actually start playing, and it's like, oh, it went from 30% starting to 50% starting, and nobody could tell a fucking difference. Like, that has happened to us many times before as well.
Well, what they did change, though, is that now it's like a decreasing balance, where as you continue to take damage, the flinch is more and more.
Yep.
Which is interesting to me, because those high rate of fire pulse rifles are gonna kick. Like,
that's true.
So that's quite a constant rate of fire.
I want to say, Noosk said that it did sort of balance out, because the amount that flinch increases is tied to the amount of damage that you do. So because they're the lowest damage, even though they're shooting faster, it still has an advantage over like a scout or a hand cannon for building up the flinch. But it's not as much as you'd think, because each individual bullet is hitting for so much less. We'll see. I'm kind of waiting to see what Bones says after he gets a chance to play with sniper rifles in this build, because yeah, he's got very particular feelings about how a sniper rifle.
One thing I think for sure is that it definitely increased the skill gap.
I think so. I mean, the artifacts that came out are going to increase the skill gap more than any balance possibly could. When there's no more sprint lock, smart players are going to be so much more rewarded when you can trade in your when I can trade in my my Night Stalker super for 2 smoke bombs and 2 grenades and faster recharge, like, get wrecked. That is that's gonna, I think, give it's not gonna be quite blink shotgun again, but it's gonna give high skill players a way to do it. Sort of looking at this weapon balance. What do you mean though? What did you notice that makes you say that?
Say what?
So that you think it's going to increase the skill gap?
I'm thinking mostly for snipers, the skill gap.
Okay. Yep.
I don't know. It's just because they did take down the aim assist, but also with the flinch, you're gonna have to hit that first shot because you're not gonna get a second one.
Yep. And I think one of my favorite snipers to watch is N-Cooch, who we had on the show recently. Because he, like, just watching him play, I realized just how much I'm doing wrong with my sniping. He will be behind cover, and he'll be perfectly lined up so he can go, whoop, whoop. And so he's only exposed there for a second. I kind of go, whoop. Okay, now, like, line it up and find the guy, maybe, like, step side by side. But I'm just out there. I'm out in the mix. He's pre-aimed behind the cover, and so he reduces the amount, because he knows the angles so well, he reduces the amount of time that he's exposed. And I think, that, like, to what you're saying, like, players who are able to do that, who are able to prevent themselves from getting flinched, are going to be continuing to have success with snipers in a way that bobos like me are going to struggle with.
All right. Let's get to plugs, because this is almost an hour and 45 minutes. This is our longest podcast.
Yeah,
yet.
I gotta get going. I gotta pee so bad. My plugs are real simple. Follow me, twitter.com/famousbirds. I'm trying to hit 5K. Getting pretty close. And listen to Crucible Radio, crucibleradio.com, or don't listen. I won't take it personal. I understand. People are busy. People got school, whatever. But listen when you can. If you see someone that you like, listen on the show, because we're going to try and do the best interview we can with them. Crucibleradio.com. It's all there. And that is all I want to play.
That is all I have to say about that. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. This has been another KOT podcast. Yeah. This has been KOT podcast episode 13. Thank you again, Famousbirds, for being on. Famousbirds has been like a mentor to us. He like basically told us what's good and bad, and don't do that. That sounded bad. Don't.
That's true. More of my advice is around stuff I don't like instead of what I do. It's harder to find something good. It's very easy to say this is bad.
Yeah. So catch us here every week on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If you want to get in contact with us, or let's say you have someone you think that we should have on, email us at KOTPodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at KOTPodcast. Obviously on Twitch at KOTPodcast as well. Thanks, guys. It's been another great podcast. Thanks again, Birds. And later, guys.
It was a pleasure. Thanks, everyone. Right. Okay. I got a